Manchester in the 1850s wasn't just a city. It was the world's first industrial monster, where 2,000 chimneys pumped out enough smoke to blacken the sun at noon, and one cholera outbreak in 1832 killed 10% of the population in weeks. What if you could walk those same streets today, dodging child laborers and steam blasts? This AI reconstruction revives rare 1851 photos you won't see in history books. Let's step into Cottonopolis now. By the middle of the 19th century, Manchester had become something new in human history. A city built entirely around production. The skyline was dominated by mill chimneys, hundreds of them, releasing smoke that hung in the air and darkened the sky, even at midday. The sound was constant. Machinery, steam engines, the movement of carts and workers through narrow streets. Beneath the mill's roar hid a grim secret. Brown lung from cotton dust killed thousands yearly, while Ancoats' air was so toxic, metal corroded in weeks. Engels called it Hell's invisible on postcards, animated frame by frame from forgotten archives. This was not a city that had grown organically over centuries. It had exploded into existence within a single lifetime, driven by cotton, coal, and steam power. In this video, I use cutting-edge VO3 AI to breathe life into historic engravings and early photographs, deeper color, fluid motion, unseen details, letting us walk Manchester as it was in the 1850s. What you're about to see is a city that invented the modern world, not through intention, but through relentless acceleration. This is Manchester before the transformation, still recognizable as a market town serving the surrounding countryside. In 1750, the population was around 20,000. There were churches, inns, a marketplace, and modest workshops. The Irwell flowed through, providing water and transport, but the city itself was unremarkable. One of many provincial towns scattered across northern England. Then came cotton. The first water-powered cotton mill opened in the 1780s. Within decades, mills multiplied across the city and its surroundings. Steam engines replaced water wheels, allowing factories to be built anywhere coal could be delivered. The population surged, 50,000 by 1800, over 300,000 by 1850. This was not organic growth. It was acceleration. Streets were laid out quickly, often without planning. Housing was built to meet immediate demand, not long-term need. The city expanded faster than its infrastructure could support, creating density, congestion, and pressure at every level. By the 1850s, Manchester bore almost no resemblance to what it had been 70 years earlier. The market town had been consumed by the machine. This is the interior of a cotton mill in the 1850s, and it was overwhelming in every sense. The noise was constant and deafening. Power looms clattering, spinning frames, whirring steam engines driving belts and gears that connected hundreds of machines across multiple floors. Conversation was impossible. Workers communicated through gestures and learned to read the rhythm of the machinery by sound alone. The air was thick with cotton dust. It coated everything: floors, walls, clothing, lungs. Ventilation was poor. Windows were kept closed to maintain humidity, which prevented thread from breaking but made the air stifling. Machines dictated the pace of work. Operatives tended multiple looms or spinning frames simultaneously, moving quickly to repair broken threads, replace bobbins, and keep production flowing. The work required constant attention. A moment's distraction could result in injury. Fingers caught in gears, hands crushed by moving parts. Shifts ran 12 to 14 hours, 6 days a week. Breaks were short and regulated. The factory bell controlled when you arrived, when you ate, when you left. Human labor had been subordinated to the machine's rhythm, and the machine did not stop. This is Manchester's atmosphere in the 1850s, and it was inescapable. Smoke poured from hundreds of mill chimneys, mixing with coal fires from homes and workshops. The air was thick, gray, and often difficult to breathe. Buildings were coated in soot within months of construction. The Irwell ran black with dye and chemical waste from textile processing. Pollution was not a side effect. It was evidence of output. A smoking chimney meant a mill was operating. A blackened sky meant production was high. Soot-covered buildings signaled industrial success. The city's ugliness was inseparable from its function. Visitors remarked on it constantly. The darkness, the smell, the grime. Some were horrified, others awed, but no one denied what they were seeing. A city that had sacrificed beauty, health, and comfort in pursuit of production. Standing on a bridge over the Irwell, looking at the mills stretching into the distance, you would have seen the future. It was not clean and it was not quiet, but it was undeniably powerful. This shows the Rochdale Canal and the railway lines converging on Manchester, and they reveal how the city functioned as a node in a global system. Raw cotton arrived from across the world, but primarily from the American South. By 1860, 90% of Manchester's cotton was picked by enslaved people on plantations thousands of miles away. The city's industrial revolution was built on their labor. This was not hidden. It was how the system functioned. Cotton bales were shipped to Liverpool, then transported to Manchester via canal or increasingly by railway. Canals, which had built Manchester's early industrial infrastructure, were already in decline. By the 1850s, railways were faster, more reliable, and capable of moving far greater volumes. The Bridgewater Canal, once the symbol of industrial innovation, was being overtaken by the very forces it had helped unleash. Manchester was not self-contained. It was a processing center. Raw materials flowed in, finished goods flowed out, and the city's wealth depended on maintaining that flow. Standing in the Free Trade Hall built in the 1850s on the site of the Peterloo Massacre, you would have felt that tension. The hall celebrated free trade and industrial capitalism. The ground beneath it remembered state violence against workers demanding political reform. Both were a part of Manchester's story. This is Manchester's influence spreading outward, and it was rapid. Other cities studied Manchester's model. How to organize factories, how to house workers, how to connect production to global markets. Industrial centers emerged across Britain, Europe, and North America, each following patterns established here. The cotton mill became a template. The factory town became a template. The separation of work and home, the subordination of labor to machinery, the reliance on global supply chains, all of it originated or was perfected in Manchester. This city did not stay unique. It became a blueprint. The problems Manchester faced, overcrowding, pollution, inequality, labor exploitation, also spread. Other cities inherited not just the industrial model, but its consequences. Reformers in those cities looked back at Manchester both as a warning and as proof that such conditions could be endured, managed, and even justified in the name of progress. By the 1850s, Manchester was no longer an experiment. It was a system, and that system was replicating itself across the industrializing world. This is Manchester in the 1850s. Smoke drifting across the skyline, workers leaving the mills at the end of a shift, the city continuing as it always did, The modern world did not arrive quietly. It announced itself here in the noise of machinery, the density of housing, the blackened air, and the relentless rhythm of production. Which Hell's City next? Berlin's factories or Tokyo's fires? Vote below. Your pick gets AI revived first. If there's another city, another moment, or another place in history you'd like to see brought back to life, let me know in the comments. I'd love to continue exploring the past with you. Thank you for watching.